Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CM Trading. Today is August 12, 2021, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, once again, the Dow Jones rallies to new record highs again, and that's after the CPI number coming out yesterday. But looking at today's major economic events, at 3:30 South African time out of the United States, we have a PPI number coming out. That's also an important number that's coming out. But looking at the various markets, we're watching in terms of the Forex symbols, the euro consolidating, while the Aussie dollar and the South African both gain versus the USD. And looking at the indices, as we said, Dow Jones new highs, and the Nasdaq has no bounce. That's a very important thing. Now looking at commodities, gold and oil both gain, and in the stocks, the tech sector, which reflects the Nasdaq, remains very weak, while the bank stocks bounce. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin retracing. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trade. So here we go. We're looking at the daily of the Eur Usd. You can see that really consolidated at this area. I didn't think it was going to press lower. And looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see a little bit clearer. And looking at the Aussie dollar, this is where really it's at. Where the Aussie had this massive spike yesterday, and now it's fading that spike. Okay, this is obviously a news event that came out, and now we're having that fade and possibly going to go back down to this 7324. Now looking at the GBP USD, didn't move much. However, the USD Rand, okay, this is where we just mentioned, we're looking at a daily, and this is the first time that we've hit this level of 1467 since we hit this double top of 1483. If you look at a 1-hour chart, you can see that a little bit clearer. Now, there's a lot of chaos happening in South Africa. My heart goes out to our clients there, and it's really a very serious situation, and that's why we've seen this devaluation of the Rand over this period of time. Now jumping into commodities, okay, let's go straight into gold, as this has finally had a bounce. Okay, now it consolidated in this 1730-ish area, but finally bouncing yesterday about 20 points on the upside, closing in at this 1760 resistance. So just keep that in mind, that we may see it falter once it hits the 1760. Now looking at oil had a nice rally yesterday if we look at a 1-hour chart, but it's tapering off here at $69 a barrel. Now this is being tapered off by the fact that this Delta variant, okay, which is wreaking havoc at the rest of the world, might not be having such an effect on Africa, but it is wreaking havoc around the world. It's making it sluggish again for us to hope for any reopening of the economy in a normal level. Now jumping into the Dow Jones, here we go at 35,532. Look at that. It keeps on going higher and higher. And this is really because of the CPI number that came out yesterday. Look at that. Right after off the gate, we just rallied and sustained it. Now we are, just, what's the word called? Fading it off, okay, at these levels. But ultimately, every time it does fade, it comes right back. So for now, we're still a bona fide buy here. If you look at the long-term chart of this over the past year. Now looking at the Nasdaq, dead, didn't bounce, very, very weak, which it seems to imply that if we do turn in the markets, we may go further down here. We're below 15,000 on the Nasdaq. That's an important round number, because the Nasdaq was the one that was strong. Remember, that was the one that took us higher. That was being led by the high-tech stocks, okay, just about a month ago, starting a month ago. But then it hit this double top at this 15,164. Now, this is not major retracement, because if we look at a daily chart, you could see that's not a major retracement, but it's significant, okay? When you don't make higher highs where the rest of the market does, then I am inclined to think that we're going to go further down, at least in the Nasdaq. Not necessarily today, tomorrow, but once the market starts selling off, that's something to consider. We do have support at this 14,800-ish level, okay, 850-ish level. So that's something that could retrace back there and then bounce off of it, okay? But it seems very unlikely, because we look like we're making a double top here with this 15,000. Now looking at the individual stocks, JP Morgan gained a lot yesterday. We're only about 3 points off of our all-time highs. If you look at Alcoa, also gaining further to 44.58, but the tech stocks are all dead. Amazon, negative on the day. Microsoft was unchanged, okay? Facebook also negative on the day. So Apple also negative on the day. It's consolidating. It's not necessarily going lower, but it's consolidating. It's not going higher, okay? Which raises a flag. It doesn't mean that tomorrow we're going to see a bloodbath, but it just raises a flag, at least for me, in the short term. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, finally getting that, I guess you could call it that sell-off, or that minor sell-off at least, at 46,400. We're retracing down to 45,000 here. So it does look like we are consolidating here. It's a little bit of a hard play because we did have this previous resistance support, okay, which was a subsequent resistance. So, you know, it's not so simple with Bitcoin because it is so volatile and so thin to trade. So just keep that in mind, that this may just be a momentary retracement in order for us to go higher. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.